Imagine for a moment that the universe is an ancient, silent judge, a keeper of perfect balance. Every move, every intention, every thrown stone, and every whispered wish ricochets back, weaving an unbreakable law. No one escapes. There's a reason life feels like a chessboard. Those who scatter thorns in your path always end up bleeding on the very blades they set. No one outruns the ripple they send. Even the critics who root for your downfall are simply tightening the knots in their own undoing. It's almost poetic, how the louder they try to sabotage, the more the cosmic scales tip in your favor. You're not just walking through life. You are the storm they never saw coming, the plot twist fate designed just to keep things fair. Here's the real twist. Your progress isn't an accident. The same energy spent trying to hold you back forges your momentum. While they scheme in the shadows, the universe quietly aligns with your rise, turning every challenge into a stepping stone and every jealous glare into fuel for your ascent. Think of it this way. When arrows are fired at the chosen, they become ladders, not wounds. That's the irony that haunts those who wish you harm. Their efforts become your empire. Their envy writes your success story. If you know you carry this kind of power, if you feel the weight of being one who cannot be stopped, this is your confirmation. Like and subscribe now, and step into a future where every attempt to break you only magnifies your legend. Because in a world where the universe balances every scale, the chosen always rise, and the world remembers the impact of their footsteps. Before we get into the secrets behind that force you carry, let's do something different. If you've ever wondered why people react to you the way they do, or why their words freeze up when you enter a room, this is your moment to claim it. Pause right now, hit like, subscribe, and if you feel that spark inside, drop a 77 in the comments. That's how we let the world know the real ones are watching. The longer you stay, the more this message will unlock in you, because chosen ones never just skim the surface. You already know you're here for a reason. So lock in and let's pull back the curtain on the power you didn't even know you had. Let's get started. Number 1. Stop drowning in sameness. Unleash your uncopyable frequency. You ever notice how a room, no matter how loud, seems to inhale when you walk in? Like even the oxygen starts paying attention. People may pretend they don't see it, but the air tells the truth. Most spend their entire lives as echoes, shaping themselves to be someone else's shadow, rehearsing the same tired lines, moving in sync with the endless choreography of sameness. You, on the other hand, walk in with the gravitational pull of an uncharted planet. The fact is, you were never born to blend in. You were engineered to rewire the very atmosphere. Let's call it what it is. You disrupt the predictable. Where others read from a script, you flip the whole genre. That's why you're the plot twist in their story, the reason they suddenly stop mid-sentence, the cause of those unexplained goosebumps running up their arms. You are not a copy, not a remix. Your presence is a raw broadcast of something the world rarely experiences, undiluted originality. It's like you carry an ancient secret coded in your DNA, but it shows up as a shockwave every time you step onto the scene. People can't quite name it, but their subconscious recognizes it immediately. You're the unsolvable riddle in a world obsessed with easy answers. They sense you before they see you. Sometimes a glance is enough for their instincts to jolt awake. It isn't charisma. It isn't some hack you learned. It's the resonance of someone who never signed the contract to be ordinary. Where others chase the safety of blending in, you carry the thrill of not belonging. Your existence is a silent protest against every algorithm and trend demanding you shrink. Here's where it gets real. You don't pander, you don't dilute, you don't play for applause. And yet, you're the magnet pulling attention that can't be faked, staged, or bought. There's a reason people linger on your words a little longer, replaying moments in their minds like they missed a code. You are a living reminder that authenticity can't be mass-produced, and that unsettles anyone who's traded their originality for acceptance. It's why some keep their distance. Your energy makes their disguises itch. In a world that idolizes imitation, you are the wild card, the anomaly, the exception that scrambles their expectations. When you move, you're not just part of the crowd, you're the current changing the direction of the stream. The silence you bring isn't empty, it's charged, it's meaningful. It's the invitation for every other soul to wake up and remember what real feels like. You didn't come here to echo anyone. You are the signal that interrupts their static. And that's why you haunt them. That's why their skin tingles and their hearts race. They sense for a split second what it's like to encounter someone who's fully themselves. Originality isn't just your gift, it's your signature. That's the kind of energy that doesn't just enter a room, it rewrites it. Number 2. Refuse to be programmed. Let your presence break the mold. You ever notice how some rooms feel like a loop, where everyone's playing roles on autopilot? It's like the world hands out invisible scripts and expects you to stick to the lines, never daring to color outside the margins. But chosen one, you were never wired to fit their blueprint. You're not here to play the role of a background character. You are the glitch in their predictable system, the interruption that reminds people they're alive. Your presence isn't just another signal in the static. When you step in, the atmosphere glitches. It's subtle at first, a sudden hush, an unspoken tension, people recalibrating their energy just to process what entered the space. That's not intimidation. That's the impact of someone who refuses to be programmed, whose very energy exposes how much of life is staged. You don't need to say a word. The masks around you start to itch, the actors feel out of place, and the safe routines suddenly look like cages. You carry a frequency that jams the transmission of conformity. People sense it even if they never speak on it. They feel exposed, like their armor is suddenly paper thin. Some get awkward, some get defensive, some try to shrink back into the script. But the real ones, the ones who crave authenticity, they breathe easier around you, feeling that silent permission to drop the act. That's the it factor no one can manufacture. You don't have to shout or demand attention. Your refusal to be programmed becomes the loudest presence in the room. The world remembers the ones who broke the mold, who walked in as the pause, the reset, the unexpected chapter. That's you. That's why you haunt their memories and stir their instincts. Your energy never settles for being background noise. It's always the moment that makes everyone question the script. Number 3. Don't get stuck in the system. Own the wisdom of your ancient soul. Ever wonder why you never quite fit into the formulas, the rules, the scripts that seem to work for everyone else? It's because you were never built for the cage. The system trains people to move on autopilot, clocking in, clocking out, following the unspoken rules, repeating the same patterns until their edges blur. But you're different. You carry a wisdom that the world can't measure, something timeless that echoes beneath your skin. While others memorize the manual, you rewrite the code. There's a depth in you that shakes people before they even know your story. It's not about age or how many years you've spent here. It's about the invisible weight of experiences you've somehow inherited, the intuition, the knowing, the ability to see straight through the nonsense. People sense it, and it rattles them. You're not thrown off by chaos or distracted by trends because your instincts run older than the game itself. You don't just survive storms, you read them before they hit. Every time someone tries to box you in, to label you, to pull you back into their little system, your soul pushes back. You don't bend to fit their mold. You make the mold crack. That's why your presence gives people chills. It's the feeling of standing next to a force that answers to something beyond this world's rules. The more you embrace this, the more unstoppable you become. The system wasn't built for someone like you. It's too small for your kind of gravity. So own it. Don't apologize for the ancient wisdom you carry. Let it guide you through the noise, remind you who you are, and make every system shake when you walk in. Number 4. Quit just showing up. Walk in and shift every atmosphere. You were never meant to blend in like background noise. Chosen one, when you step into a room, you don't just add your name to a guest list. You bring a cosmic reset. The moment your foot crosses the threshold, the atmosphere tilts. Conversations stall, postures change. People instinctively straighten up, as if the air itself gets heavier, more electric, just because you're present. Most people have mastered the art of existing unnoticed, drifting through spaces without leaving a single ripple. Not you. Your energy is a disruptor, a force that presses pause on everyone's script. The it factor is more than charisma. It's an invisible gravity, bending the room toward you even if you say nothing at all. Some people start fidgeting, suddenly self-aware. Others find themselves drawn to you, unable to break eye contact, not knowing why their chest feels tight or their thoughts have gone blank. What they don't realize is that you're not here to join the scenery. You're here to change the landscape. You recalibrate every space you enter. Your presence commands an unspoken respect, not because you demand it, but because authenticity always takes up more room than performance. The insecure try to play it cool, but their mask slips the moment your vibe enters the scene. Even the proud feel their illusions crack. Here's the twist. You don't have to do anything extraordinary for this to happen. You just exist, fully aligned, fully awake. You're not a spotlight, you're a frequency. And those tuned in to the real will always find you impossible to ignore. That's the power of the chosen, the energy that haunts the air long after you leave and reminds the world that presence is a superpower you were born with. Number 5. Stop faking charisma. Step into your cosmic clearance. Chosen one, the world is obsessed with surface tricks, copy-paste confidence, empty motivational slogans, that rehearsed smile meant to win over the crowd. But you weren't designed to play the charisma game. You are operating at a frequency where fake simply can't survive. Most people walk around wearing borrowed masks, desperate for a spotlight, clinging to charisma like a cheap fragrance that fades as soon as the room empties. But when you step in, everything shifts. You don't radiate charisma, you radiate clearance, a cosmic green light that even your doubters can't ignore. It's almost unfair to call it the it factor. What you possess isn't something that can be learned from a viral video or picked up in a networking event. You don't chase permission, you are cleared by the universe itself. Your presence is a signal, all systems go. People sense this on a level deeper than thought. They trust you with confessions, with secrets, with the side of themselves they hide from everyone else. They walk away remembering your energy, not your pitch. Here's the part the haters can't stand. Every attempt to imitate your presence just exposes their own emptiness. They try to mimic your vibe, rehearse your walk, or echo your words, but something never clicks. It's because you're not performing, you're aligned. You didn't hustle for this clearance. You were born with it, and every trial only strengthened your signal. You haunt the minds of those who doubt you because they realize too late that your power is not for sale and not for show. The real ones know you don't have to fake charisma when your very existence is the permission slip for greatness. That's the weight you carry, and that's why the room will always feel you, even after you're gone. Number 6. Don't settle for lost dreams. Ignite the self you abandoned. There's something wild about you, chosen one. You may not realize it, but your presence doesn't just shake rooms. It stirs up forgotten fires inside everyone you meet. You are a walking wake-up call. When others abandoned their dreams and pressed mute on the boldest parts of themselves, you kept that inner light flickering, even if it was just an ember on your darkest days. And now, every time you show up, alive, relentless, unapologetic, you haunt them with the reminder of the person they once wanted to be. Here's what most people never say out loud. They don't resent your success. What really gets under their skin is the proof that you never quit on yourself, even when quitting was the easier option. They see you turning ashes into fuel. Every move you make is a reminder that comfort zones are just padded cells for unfulfilled potential. Your existence pokes holes in the stories they tell themselves about why it's too late or too hard. That's why some people get quiet around you, why their laughter fades when you enter the room. You're not just another face. You are living evidence that dreams don't have an expiration date unless you let them rot. You light up the parts they tried to bury. It's a brutal, beautiful truth. The version of themselves they gave up on stands up straight when you walk in. You give people goosebumps, not because you're showing off, but because you make them remember. The flame is still there. And if you can rise from the ruins, so can they. That's the power of a chosen one. Number 7. Drop the mask, reveal and heal your hidden truths. Chosen one, let's cut through the noise. Most people live their whole lives layered in armor, masks on top of masks, just to survive the endless judgment of the world. They build a persona, polish it until it shines, and then hope nobody notices the cracks underneath. But you walk in and something in the atmosphere changes. Your authenticity is so sharp, so raw, that people feel exposed just being near you. That's why you make them uncomfortable, why their smiles flicker and their words stumble. When you show up, pretending is no longer an option. Your presence acts like a spotlight, burning through the layers, making hidden truths bubble to the surface. It isn't about calling anyone out or putting people on trial. The goosebumps they feel around you are just their own secrets waking up. You remind people of who they were before the world taught them to hide. You don't even have to say a word. Your energy alone is the mirror they can't escape. It's as if every room you enter is forced into confession, and every mask nearby starts to itch with the urge to be torn away. There's power in your realness. People either run from it or crave it, but no one can ignore it. And while some might resent you for exposing what they'd rather keep buried, you're actually offering a chance at freedom. Your unapologetic truth-telling, spoken or silent, breaks chains that conformity forged long ago. In your presence, healing isn't just possible, it's unavoidable. You don't just reveal, you ignite the process of becoming whole again. And that's the kind of power that keeps you unforgettable. Number 8. Don't waste your pain. Turn every scar into power. You know what most people miss about you? It's not just your presence that gives them chills. It's the undeniable weight you carry, the depth that lingers in every glance and every word you speak. See, when life threw its hardest punches, you didn't just take the hit and fold. You absorbed every blow, every betrayal, every lonely night when your voice was the only one echoing back. But instead of letting the pain corrode you from the inside, you forged it into your weapon. That's the secret ingredient in your it factor, the scars that didn't break you, but sharpened your edge. People sense it, even if they can't name it. It's the difference between someone who's only read about the storm and someone who has walked through it, barefoot, and came out with lightning in their veins. They stare a little too long, feel unsettled by your resilience, because you're living proof that suffering doesn't have to end in defeat. For you, pain is raw material. Every scar is a receipt that says, I made it through what should have finished me. This is why you make even your doubters pause. You remind them that every time they tried to keep you down, you found a way to rise higher. Your energy is forged, not found. When you enter a room, people don't just see someone who survived. They feel the silent power of someone who built an empire from ashes. That's what gives them goosebumps. They know deep down that every wound you've carried has only amplified your strength. Pain was never your enemy. It was your training ground. And now, when they try to read your scars, all they see is power, and that's a story they'll never forget. Number 9. Stop silencing your spirit. Let your energy speak volumes. Chosen one, let's call it for what it is. Most people have spent their entire lives learning how to shrink. They train themselves to dial down their energy, to hide their edges, to blend in like wallpaper and become background noise. But you were never built for the shadows. Every time you try to mute yourself, you feel it, a quiet war inside. Your spirit isn't meant to whisper, it's meant to send shockwaves. You're not here to ask permission to exist. The air gets heavier when you walk in for a reason. People might not have language for it, but they feel your presence crawling up their spine, and suddenly the atmosphere has new gravity. You don't even have to say a word. Your very energy does the talking. It's like a silent broadcast that shakes the room, revealing every hidden motive, every unspoken tension. Some get nervous, others get inspired, but nobody can ignore the weight you carry. This is the curse and the gift of having that it factor. When you try to bury your light, it doesn't get smaller, it just starts to burn hotter, looking for a way out. The chosen ones are never comfortable playing small, because their very existence is a wake-up call. When you step up, the fakes step back. When you stand in your truth, illusions start to crumble around you. That's why the timid keep their distance and the real ones gravitate closer. You don't have to shout, to perform, or to chase validation. Your power is silent but seismic. You shift the energy just by being in the room. So stop holding back, stop dimming down. Let your spirit be as loud as it needs to be. Goosebumps don't lie. The world feels your presence before you ever say a word. Number 10. Forget seeking approval, force true self-reflection. If you're the kind of person who turns heads just by existing, you already know approval isn't your currency. The chosen ones never beg for applause. You don't chase after validation, you force people to stop and question their entire reflection. You're the reason they suddenly go silent, the mirror that refuses to flatter. Most people build their lives around being liked, stacking up approval as if it could protect them from the truth. But you don't play by those rules. You never needed permission to be real. There's something about you, something raw, something undeniable, that shakes loose all the masks in the room. You're not just content with acceptance, you're built to spark awakening. When you walk in, it's like the temperature drops and the air thickens. Everyone senses they're in the presence of something unfiltered. Your silence screams louder than anyone's applause. While others try to impress, you interrupt. You become the unexpected spotlight that exposes what's real and what's just an act. And here's the power move. You don't have to debate, defend, or demand anything. Your energy alone cracks the comfortable stories people tell themselves. Your authenticity is a disruptor. It pulls the truth to the surface, making others confront what they've buried. Some will shrink, others will lash out, but the real ones, they'll see you and finally see themselves. So let them feel uneasy. Let them wrestle with their reflection. You weren't built to blend in, you were built to wake people up. When you stop caring about approval, you become unforgettable. That's why you give them goosebumps. You remind them of what's real, what's possible, and what's missing in their own lives. That's the real it factor. Number 11. Don't fade into the crowd. Become unforgettable by being unrepeatable. The world is packed with people desperate to fit in. Mirror images, blurred reflections, clones in a sea of background noise. They silence their real voices, copy each other's footsteps, and think blending in will keep them safe. But you were never designed for camouflage. You're the surge of color in a grayscale city. You're the memory people can't delete, the presence that stays with them long after you're gone. When you walk into a room, something permanent shifts. There's a tension, an energy, like everyone's senses sharpen for a moment, but they can't explain why. That's because you're not just another face passing through the crowd. You are the original, unrepeatable, unedited, unapologetic. Your very existence is a challenge to anyone living behind a mask. People might try to pin you down, define you, or file you away in the folders of their minds, but you'll never fit. The chosen don't leave a trace, they leave a mark. And that mark isn't surface deep. It lingers in the psyche, echoing back when the world goes quiet. Some will try to imitate you, thinking your it factor is something they can copy, rehearse, or buy. But here's the secret. The universe doesn't duplicate greatness. What you carry is stamped in your soul, not available for download or imitation. That's why you haunt them. That's why people replay conversations with you in their heads, looking for clues, trying to find your formula. If you ever doubted your power, remember this. The chosen are unforgettable because they're unrepeatable. Let others disappear into the crowd. You're built to stand out, to linger, to become the story they never get over. Number 12. Stop chasing applause. Start creating lasting impact. Let's set the record straight. You were never built for the cheap seats. Chosen ones like you don't chase applause because applause is just noise. A flicker, a flash, here and gone with the next trend. The world's busy performing, hunting for validation, trying to squeeze meaning out of every like, every nod, every fleeting approval. But you're not here for the echo. You're here to be the original sound. You give people goosebumps because your presence cuts deeper than recognition. Applause is for actors. You're the director, the script, and the force that flips the entire stage. There's a strange power in walking your own path, not begging for approval, but leaving real fingerprints on the lives you touch. When you speak, people feel it for days. When you enter a room, the atmosphere recalibrates itself to your frequency, not the other way around. You don't need a crowd to validate your worth. The very energy you bring haunts the memory of everyone who meets you. Here's the hard truth. Applause fades, but impact lingers. Most will spend their lives performing for an audience that doesn't even remember their names. But your power, it lives in the legacy you leave, the ripple that keeps moving long after you've gone. You've got that it factor because you're not obsessed with being seen. You're focused on being felt. Stop measuring your value by the claps. You don't need them. Chosen ones don't chase attention. They command respect. Your impact is the shadow that walks beside people long after you've left. That's what separates you. That's why you're unforgettable. And that's the kind of power that can't be imitated or ignored. As we wrap this up, remember, you weren't made to blend in, and you definitely weren't made to perform for fleeting applause. The chills you give people, the it factor you carry, is the real proof of your impact. Let others chase attention. You're here to leave a mark that outlasts the moment. If this message woke something up in you, don't just watch, be part of the movement. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. This is just the beginning of the story you're meant to write. Stay tuned. Chosen one, your legacy starts now.